Hey folks, Ron here today. Today's subject is an alternative theory to the presumption that O.J. Simpson single-handedly killed his ex-wife, Nicole Brown Simpson, and Ron Goldman. Now, I think we'd all would admit that there's fishy things around this case. Drugs, um, cheating spouses, cheating ex-spouses, um, a lot of weird, kind of sketchy things that were never fully resolved in the court case. Well, one of the theories is that there happens to be a serial killer named Glen Rogers. He's been on death row for quite a long time now, and he's known as the cross-country killer and the Casanova killer. He's been convicted of murdering 2 people, but he's thought to have killed maybe a dozen more, maybe less. So, we have Glen Rogers. Now, Glen Rogers has asserted over the years that he was hired by O.J. Simpson to surveil Nicole Simpson and to, among other things, possibly break into her house and retrieve some earrings that O.J. had given her that he wanted back. On other occasions, Rogers has asserted that, or claimed that, he was hired to follow Nicole, and that he not only formed a relationship with Nicole, but a romantic relationship, and that in time, O.J. hired him while while Rogers was already involved with Nicole, or had been involved with Nicole, that O.J. hired him, or kept him hired, all this unbeknownst to Nicole, to follow Nicole, continue reporting on Nicole's activities, and to find out who was supplying Nicole with drugs. The theory is that Nicole was heavily involved in cocaine and had an issue, had a problem, and that the money to pay for the drugs were coming out of O.J.'s pocket, because O.J. was fearful, knowing that Nicole had these pictures of herself bruised and battered from that infamous, I believe it was 1985, New Year's morning beating that the police were called to, and that the theory was that O.J. was sort of being silently blackmailed by Nicole, that if he didn't do basically most of what she wanted, that she would release these pictures to the media, which eventually, of course, they were released, and that his reputation would be tarnished, and he would lose his endorsements and films and so on and so forth. So, the theory is that O.J. wanted to rid, or at least threaten, Nicole's suppliers, drug dealers, and that the night of June 12th, 94, O.J. went over to Nicole's place, lying in wait, wanting to scare her. Glen Rogers, of all people, was called by Ron Goldman. I'm not sure the connection there, but called by Goldman. Goldman, I don't believe we know to this day how Goldman got to O.J.'s home that night. He didn't have a car, he didn't even have a driver's license. But that Glen Rogers supposedly picked up Goldman, and that when Goldman and Rogers got to Nicole's place, unbeknownst to Nicole, who was in the house, they were on the patio, O.J. and Rogers confronted Goldman. Goldman got kind of defensive. There was a fight. Glen Rogers ends up stabbing multiple times Goldman, to which, at that time, O.J. takes off in fear. O.J. goes home. The theory is that Rogers then goes to O.J.'s place, throws the glove over the wall, and that's the noise that Cato heard. The reason that Rogers supposedly did this is to, implicate O.J. in the case, because he had run off, like, if I'm going down, you're going down too, kind of thing. And then supposedly Rogers goes back to Nicole's condo, tells her, he's got the drugs, does she have the money? She comes out, there's an altercation, Nicole ends up seeing Goldman in the bushes and starts freaking out about it, to which Rogers kills Nicole. OJ only finds out about it when he's in New York. Excuse me, when he's in Chicago the next day. Now, the interesting thing, well, many of the interesting things about this theory is that if this were true, OJ would have to take the course that he did, because if he came out and said, you know, I didn't do it, I went there with Glen Rogers, we were just going to scare her, Rogers flipped out and ended up killing both of them, OJ would be an accessory to murder, and he would absolutely and definitely go to jail. The only course of action for him would be to do what he did, which is plead not guilty, take the chance on going to trial, which he did, and hope and pray that he is found innocent, not convicted, which is what happened. So to this day, he would have to remain silent about Glen Rogers' involvement. Like I say, he'd be an accessory to murder if he did not. So it's all very sketchy and tricky. Glen Rogers has put this in writing. Glen Rogers has talked about this. However, Glen Rogers also said he committed 70 murders, only to say later, nah, I was joking, I didn't kill 70, I didn't kill anybody. So you're talking about people who are not the most trustworthy people in the world. And when drugs and criminal behavior is involved, it gets even more sketchy, for lack of a better term. So I find it, though, to be a very, very interesting alternate theory. You can look up Glen Rogers, again, cross-country killer, Casanova killer, used to pick up women in bars, romance them, wine and dine them, and then kill them, among other things. So check it out. What I would say is that I have always been dubious of the fact of the speculation that OJ did this all by himself, killed two people brutally at the same time. Nobody heard it, excuse me, nobody saw it, and that he was able to, you know, hold off presumably Nicole and Goldman at the same time. Goldman was a young, fit guy, 20 years younger than OJ. Nicole was 10 years younger than OJ, and even though OJ was a big, strong, powerful guy, I was always dubious to the fact that the speculation that he carried this out alone. And in his book, If I Did It, he mentions a mysterious Charlie, another individual. His son Jason has been suspected of helping him. I do feel, though, that there's more to the O.J. Simpson killings than we've been told by the media, and doesn't that always happen? Fits the narrative to get a conviction, and you know, then it still didn't work. So anyway, folks, that's my interesting alternate theory. Check it out if you like, online, or books, documentaries. All of those exist on this particular subject. Hope you enjoyed it. If you enjoy my channel, please subscribe, and please give me likes. I really appreciate it. I do a lot of research to get these videos out to you, and I enjoy it, but I'd appreciate the feedback. It means a lot to me. Thank you, and we'll see you at the next location. Bye.